All right, hey everybody. Greg Harrelson and Abe Safa here. Of course, it's another Tuesday. I believe it's Tuesday. Another Tuesday with conversations around Real Geeks. So we're appreciate for you that have continued to tune in week after week, and hopefully you're seeing a good bit of value. But uh, Abe, thanks for joining me again.
Hey, Greg.
I don't know if you have the Facebook page up.
I do.
You do?
Pulling
Okay.
it
Good. I wanted to just kind of pull that up. Also, for those of you that do join us, please, if you have any comments, questions, and whatnot, definitely put them in the comment section. And Abe and I are monitoring that. So today's conversation, Abe, 4 drip campaigns you can activate today and get a huge response. I love conversations like this, right? It's like, what can I do today? Which means it has to be simple and yet have a big impact. So things that I can do today that would have a big impact. What are your thoughts overall before we get into the actual campaigns?
Yeah, I mean, I love these conversations as well. I love getting into action. So when I hear about, what can we do today, which means instant action, and especially that get instant results, and to top it off, using automation, so it's not taking up too much of our time. I mean, it doesn't get better than that, right?
Yeah. So it's simple. It can be done today. It can get a result today, and it's done through automation.
Yeah.
Yeah. I didn't think about that third part, but yeah, that's a heck of a combo. There's no doubt about it. I think when we get into the first one, I believe I know what the first one is. Yeah, the first one that we're going to talk about. I think I'll set it up by saying this. So many people focus on the conversion ratio between the contacts that they get, meaning the new leads, and the contracts that they write. But I've always believed like there's a different ratio that you have to focus on that influences that more than anything else you could do. And all of us want to write more contracts. We want a good conversion ratio for leads captured to contracts written, but we sometimes don't realize how to influence that number. Influence it enough for it to actually show up as additional revenue. So why don't you go through the first one and kind of maybe tell us a little bit more about what's important about this one campaign?
Yeah. Let me, you mentioned something that was really important and it might've been missed by the audience out there. You mentioned I don't know if you called it this way exactly, but the capture to contact ratio, as opposed to people are focusing on how many leads they can generate and how many turn into deals.
Yes.
So the challenge with I mean, that's a good number to look at. You definitely want to know that ratio, but the challenge of only focusing on that ratio is, especially nowadays, leads take longer and longer to turn into a deal at the end. So if you're investing money in advertising, if you're generating leads and you're only looking at that number and you're 2 months into it, and say you spent, I don't know, $700 a month for 3 months and only turned out to 1 deal, you might be missing that there's a lot more deals coming right around the corner if you actually hang out a little bit longer. So when you focus only on the top line and the bottom line, you don't know everything that's happening in between. So, you've been teaching for a long time, like, look, focus on your capture to contact ratio, which means out of every 100 leads, how many of those are you actually talking to? Yeah, and within those conversations, you're able to determine where those people are in their buying or selling cycle, which gives you a much clearer picture on whether your ad spend is working and not. It also gives you a better picture of how full your pipeline is, which will allow you to make better decisions. So I think that's an important thing to really kind of focus on when it comes to this first campaign or first workflow that we're going to talk about.
Yeah, the only thing that I want to add to that, Abe, is there's so many things that will influence the capture to contract. Like there's so many steps in between that that's almost too broad of a ratio to just think like to come to any conclusion. Again, we're saying that you need to know this because it's important for ROI. But in order to increase your ROI, there's some things in between that need to be looked at a little bit more, because I think what people default to is they look at, okay, I captured this many, I closed that many, these leads stink because that number's low, right? So
Right.
they default to the leads are no good. Maybe I need another lead source. I don't know how many times I have seen in the Real Geeks Facebook page say, who is there anybody that's good at PPC? Like, I'm sorry that I maybe I may offend somebody. They're all good or none of them are good. Whichever route you want to take. It's like they're either all good or none of them are good, meaning they all do their I've never met a person that actually in PPC that's necessarily created a higher quality lead. Very rare do I ever see somebody that we can say there's no doubt they have the highest quality leads. Now there's difference in the price per lead, and that can influence the keywords that you're going after. So sometimes people will say, well, I don't want to spend but X amount of dollars. And then the lead company thinks, well, I need to produce them a lot of leads. So they may go after different keywords that gets them a lot of leads, but they don't convert. That was probably more of a strategy based on the budget than somebody else that says, I've got a huge budget. Let's go after these keywords, which they may be bottom of the funnel, but that PPC person, the lead company, could have done that also. A lot of these things are influenced more by the real estate agent's parameters than the person actually doing the ads. But here's one thing, and this is the one. This one campaign, in my opinion, we have tracked more influence on our ROI and our conversion because of this one campaign than any other campaign. And so I could take, in my opinion, I could take anybody's PPC account, lead account, and if I do this and they don't, I will tell a different story about the quality of the leads because of how it's going to impact the ratio.
Absolutely. So we're going to go over 4 campaigns or 4 workflows today. The first 3 are actually in your Real Geeks library. So whatever we go over here, you just go into your Real Geeks library and you can just download it to your account. And then the 4th one is one that's not in your Real Geeks library. It's an in-house one that we use ourselves within the company, and we're going to share that with you. It's a very simple one. But let's start off with the first one, Greg, because
Go for it.
This is the most important one in the entire Real Geeks library when it comes to workflows.
Yes.
Buyer lead is called buyer leads, no contact after first attempt. Okay, this is an 8-step campaign. So there's 8 messages over roughly a 48-hour period. Most of them are text messages. I think there's like 2 emails and 6 text messages over a 48-hour period. But like the importance of this one particular one, like you said, this is where it all starts, right? Because when you generate your leads, you have to make sure that you talk to as many of those leads as possible. And of course, you can do the double dial technique that we've talked about many times. So you call them. If they don't pick up, you hang up and then call them right back again. That's going to help your pickup rate. But then after that, if you have not reached them, then this is a campaign that you should be using every single time with every single lead. Mm-hmm. And now what that's going to do, that's going to increase your odds of reaching those leads from 15%. It could be as high as, 70, 75% of every single lead that you generate, you eventually get in contact with in some way, shape, or form.
Yeah. And so so basically that's already in the system, right? It's already within Real Geeks. Okay. Yeah. And what I would kind of put in my little twist on it is some people may ask, well, is that after the autoresponder, before the autoresponder, things like that, right? And so I'll just go ahead and I'm going to give you my opinion. My opinion is we shouldn't use autoresponders. Now, before you kind of say, oh, that's BS. I understand that sometimes we are on appointments and we cannot take calls. We cannot see an email and call the person. So I get that 100% of the time. And if you have enough, if you're responsible enough and you could take the autoresponder and disable it and enable it based on the time that you have to communicate, whether or not you're available or not. If you're not available, then disable it. If you're available, then enable it. But I'm not a big believer of leaving autoresponder all the time, because that one person that does communicate to your autoresponder, I would have rather you been the person that communicated to them. It's not likely you're going to set an appointment over an autoresponder. It's highly likely that you're going to set an appointment if you were the one talking to that person at that time. And the more you go back and forth through emails, the more you go back and forth, the harder it is to get them on the phone. Once you get them used to talking to you online, it's hard to get them offline, which offline means on the phone or in person. Online means through technology. Now, this is my opinion, and I know that there's a lot of people that might think different, but we do have a fairly good track record for a number of sales. And so we believe that you take this one workflow, you get a lead, you manually dial them immediately. If they don't pick up, then you kick off the workflow, and the workflow will then use automation to communicate to them various times over the next 24 hours, taking your likely capture to contact ratio from 15 to 18%, taking it to 60 or more percent. If you actually change from, like, the number of people that you actually were communicating went from 18% to 60%, it doesn't matter how good the lead quality is. I'm telling you, you will have just increased your business by 100%. This is the one thing. Now, I understand, but I don't have time. I get it. I can't solve all those problems. What I can do is Abe and I can make you aware that there's 100% increase in ROI if you can figure out how to do this every single time. But we're distracted by autoresponders, by set it and forget it type of drip campaigns. And like, we love automation to do our work. We just need to step in and put a little bit of manual effort into this, and your numbers will go through the roof.
Like I have in my notes, Greg, this, in capital letters, in bold letters, this is a must, right? If you're not using workflows at all, use this one, right? Mm-hmm. This is the one workflow that every single person out there should be using. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. Can't make it any easier. Go in a library, click a button, it gets downloaded to your account, and then all you have to do is just use it every single time for every single new lead that comes in.
Mm-hmm. Got it. Okay. Well, good. Well, I don't want to keep beating up on that one. What's the second one?
Number 2.
Oh, yeah.
You can get that one.
Yeah. Buyer leads. So inactive the last 6 months. Just remember, inactive, where we default as real estate agents and we look in our Real Geek site and we see that these people have not been active. So our default is, oh, these people are dead, or these people aren't doing anything. The challenge is what we need to do is, instead of defaulting to these people aren't doing anything or these people are inactive, our default should be, how do I get these people to become active again? Because you don't have inactive leads in your database. You have leads that are not active with you, but are likely active on some other website that your competition owns, or a third-party website like a Zillow, Realtor.com. So it's just because someone's inactive in your account, let's not assume they're inactive in general. I assume they are active. I've lost their attention. I need to win it back. So we're constantly, and this is done. It's done, I'll say weekly, maybe not daily because we would run out of people, but it's definitely done on a weekly basis. I have a staff member that goes into our Real Geeks account and kicks off the buyer lead inactive last 6-month campaign. That's in your system. You already have it. All you have to go is to the workflow library, and it's there. It's there right now. Because Real Geeks themselves, we gave these to Real Geeks, and Real Geeks automatically puts them into every account when somebody gets one. So we know it's there, okay? All you have to do is then do an advanced search filter find out all with the criteria of all leads that are inactive last 6 months, and then kick off that workflow. I have somebody doing this every single week, and we kick off this workflow every single week to anybody that meets this criteria. And there's not a week that goes by that these two things don't happen. Number one, we identify a lead that we're now working, that we can now work with, that we thought was inactive. And number two, we identify a lead that we thought was inactive. They were active, but they already bought with our competition. And as soon as you kick off this workflow for this criteria of people in your database, you're probably going to find both. You're going to find actually three things. You're going to find, no, we're just really kind of put that on hold. Okay, great. Don't delete them. Or, I'm sorry, we already purchased. Don't delete them. Don't get mad at them. Set them up on a market activity report for where they purchased. And then the third one is, yeah, we are still looking. It's can you show me a property or something like that? You'll get some indication that someone's still in the game. Every time you'll get a version of those three. So right now, instead of thinking, man, I need to get more leads, what we need to do is we need to start giving more attention to the leads we already have. Because if you want to drive your per lead cost down, then start working with more of the leads that you're buying. That's how you do it. You have to give them more attention, so you'll start working with more leads. And then when you look at your ROI, you'll be driving your cost per lead down and your ROI go up, not by changing the lead source. I mean, there's plenty of people that are with Real Leads, I think it's called, within Real Geeks, that, they're thinking, oh, I'm not getting that much of an ROI. And then all of a sudden they institute some of these tools that they have right there built into the system. And now they're getting a phenomenal ROI and didn't even have to change lead sources. It wasn't the lead source. And I will say, some people tout certain people being great at PPC. My guess is it's the agent that's great.
Yeah, the best
it's
thing
the
about
agent that's great.
the best thing about this workflow, Greg, is like you said, these are leads you've already paid for.
Mm-hmm.
Well, how do you increase your profit? You increase your profit by either spending less or increasing your revenue. So you've already paid for these leads. They're already in your system. So increase your ROI, increase your profit by reviving these quote unquote dead leads. Yes. So they're already in there. They are transacting, whether they've been active with you or not. They're active somewhere. They are still looking around. And if they purchase, like Greg says, just, save them as a seller now instead of a buyer, set them up on a market report. And then at some point down the road, hopefully they come back to you for the sale this time around.
Yes. Got it. All right. What's the next one?
Wait, let me note one thing. So the titles that we gave at the bottom of the screen, that's exactly how they are in the Real Geeks library. So if you actually go in the library and you search exactly these words, you'll get these workflows if you don't have them already. So this is exactly what they're called in the library. Okay. So number 3, buyer leads, active buyer, unresponsive, no follow-up. Mm-hmm. So these are buyers that are still active, right? These are not necessarily new ones. These are people that are in the system that have been active and are still active, but they're just not responding to you when you pick up the phone and call them. Mm-hmm. So I know it's easy to just give up on them and say they're just not interested. That is not the case. Okay. So this workflow is only 5 messages over 24-hour period roughly. And it's going to get you pretty good responses. And this is going to be able, again, to take some of those active people and be able to set you appointments right now because they are looking on your website currently. You just need to get their attention somehow.
Yes. And one thing that I would say is, so the difference between this one and the one before was inactive. This one is unresponsive. Okay, there's a difference. There could be people that are actively in your database, but when you call them or email them every once in a while, they don't respond. But they're still searching. It's like, man, these people, they're searching, they're saving things, but every time I call them, they don't respond. They don't email me back. That's kind of that person. Versus inactive would be they don't show any signs of life. Okay. And so we treat them slightly different. And what we're doing here, the active buyer unresponsive, no follow-up, that buyer there or that lead, all you got to do is if you send them a few messages kind of right after each other, within that 24 to 48 hour time, what I believe is happening is they're taking note of the effort that you're putting in, and then they actually reply just out of sheer respect. That's what I think really happens. And so when we take, like, if you look at your database and you say, okay, I've got 100 people that are inactive, I've got 100 people that are unresponsive, that's 200. I believe you can get 100% of them to actually start talking to you again. Now, they may talk to you and tell you they already bought. They may talk to you and tell you that they're not interested anymore. But out of that 100, somebody will say, yes, I'd love to look at some properties. Because they might be getting alerts from Zillow or another competitor's website. So they're getting bombarded. Every person, every lead, every person that we call a lead, I believe somebody else has the same lead, if not 3 or 4 more websites have the same lead. So if these people are in 5 websites and they're getting bombarded with all this information, you've got to do something to stand out. And this workflow would be a way that we would do that.
Absolutely. And again, so all 3 of these that we've gone over so far are in your Real Geeks library. Now, this 4th one is not. This is the one that we use in-house. It's a very simple one. It's 3 messages, and it's called General Follow-Up Workflow to Database. So this goes to both buyers and sellers. This is a very basic workflow. I think it's 2 SMS messages and 1 email, just talking about, hey, you're in our database. Just wanted to reach out to you and see what your real estate plans are this year. Are you thinking of buying or selling? So just kind of, it crosses over to every type of lead, buyer and seller. And it's just kind of a way to get back out to them again and just try to get them engaged. Because I mean, you have to change it up. You can't use the same workflows over and over. Like if we hit, like, so if Greg's in my database and I hit him with a workflow 3 months ago, I don't want to come back with the same workflow again. So you want to change it up a little bit. And sometimes even something as simple just as 3 messages in a workflow will get the job done.
Yeah.
So this is one that we can share with you. Again, it's very basic. It's general real estate conversation. It's something, if you're interested in it, just let us know, send us a message and we'll shoot it out to you.
Got it. Yeah, that'd be great. And before we hang up, one of the things that just keeps in my mind is Real Geeks built in some video technology. Some of you were using, I think it's called BombBomb, and if you're still using BombBomb, fantastic. But if you're not using BombBomb and you're not using video, then you really need to start incorporating some video in your text, in your email templates, in your workflow templates, because that really helps you stand out. I actually believe this is something a little bit different than what we just talked about. I'll end with this, and that is, let's just say that you get a lead and you take our suggestion and you call that lead immediately instead of having an autoresponder hit it. You call that lead immediately, okay? And then as soon as you get off the phone with that lead, my recommendation is you should already have a text template saved with a video that says something like this. Hey, it's Greg Harrelson with Century 21, the Harrelson Group. Just wanted to say thank you for the conversation. I look forward to working with you. And I just thought, after we talked, I thought I would just put a face to a voice. Just let you know that I will, continue to do everything I can help you or I can do to help you locate a good property. And if there's anything that you need from me in the meantime, feel free to reach out to me. My cell number is blank. So you have that one video that's saved as a text template. You go ahead and you get that new lead. Instead of the autoresponder hitting it, you call that lead. You hang up from that lead. You kick off that text template that says, hey, I really appreciate the call. Great to get to know you. Wanted to put a face with a voice. I look forward to working with you. You are really hammering in and solidifying a relationship with this person. Those are the things that influence your ROI. We don't have to start chasing the new lead company. We actually just have to optimize the way that we approach our leads. All right. I think that's a wrap.
Yeah, absolutely, Greg. Yes, let me add one more thing. When it comes to using workflows, I mean, don't be attached to their response. Like I see a lot of agents get frustrated when they get a lot of no's or I'm not interested. All that means is they're not interested at this present moment. So the whole objective of using these workflows is to get someone engaged in a conversation. Now, yes, some of those you can actually engage them and turn that no, that soft no, into a maybe or into a yes. But don't get frustrated. Like, man, I'm getting so many no's. I'm going to stop using these workflows. You should not. That could be that'll be the worst thing you can do. The whole point is to get them to respond, get every single lead that comes to you to respond in some shape or form, and then engage them over time, and then be there when they are ready.
Yeah. Abe, you may have set yourself up for complete disaster.
For the
Just let me know and I'll email it to you. And thank you, Joe and Gavin, for asking. You are doing exactly what you're supposed to do. You may want to rethink a way to do this because there's going to be people that are going to listen to this, say, in 4 days from now. And so these things it'll be hard to catch up. So for those of you, yes, we will make that happen. There's no doubt that Abe is going to deliver on that. He'll probably just think of a way. There might be a way that you can get them to download it or something like that, I'm assuming. But we'll figure that out, and you'll get that information within this Facebook thread. All right. Thank you, everybody. Abe, thank you. Great job today.
Thank you, Greg. Thank you all for watching.
All right. Bye-bye.